Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the meeting of the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs for the 2025 session. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Carter,
Present.
DeLong,
Present.
De Silva,
Here.
Edgeworth, Flanagan, Gallant, Goulding, Gurr, Hunt, Jackson, Karras, Kasama, Wynn.
Here.
Chair Considine.
I am present, and we do have Assemblymember Kasama in Las Vegas, and please record Assemblymember Flanagan as present when they arrive. So welcome to the audience here in Carson City, those joining by video conference in Las Vegas, and those listening over the internet. I would like to begin today with some housekeeping measures. First, please check and silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card to the committee secretary. When testifying, please approach the table, turn the microphone on, and clearly state your name and any affiliation for the record. Turn the microphone off each time you are done speaking. If you are providing handouts, please ensure that hard copies are available for members of the public. Electronic copies should be submitted to our committee manager by 9 a.m. yesterday for committee members. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we disagree with someone else's position. And I encourage committee members to ask questions and engage with the material presented. If you have any follow-up questions, please flag them for me so we can ensure to balance our time effectively during today's meetings. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not interpret this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. And with that, let's get started. Today, we're going to hear two bills. First, we will hear Assembly Bill 155, which revises provisions relating to public employees, and then we will hear Assembly Bill 191, which revises provisions relating to collective bargaining. To ensure that we get through everyone fairly and in a timely manner, we will set a 20-minute time limit for each period of support, opposition, and neutral testimony, with each speaker having 2 minutes. To ensure we allow as many people as possible to testify, please feel free to say ditto if someone has already covered your testimony. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 155. To present this measure, we have Assembly Member LaRue Hatch, and please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Considine, Vice Chair Wynn, and committee for having me back again. I'm excited to be in our fancy big room for this one. I am Assemblymember Selena LaRue Hatch, and I represent District 25, which is in Northwest Reno. And I also am a teacher of world history at North Valleys High School, and that is very pertinent for this bill because this bill is all about addressing class size and caseload. So to give you a little bit of background, we have some of the largest class sizes in the nation. Our class sizes are on average 30% over the national average. To give you some real world stats, my classes, I teach 6 of them, are usually between 30 and 35 students. So I just want you to think about 35, 15-year-olds all in a room together because that's what I get 6 times a day. And I've actually had classes up to 45, which is a huge number of kiddos to have in the room. And I see from some educators nodding their heads that that's not an unusual number. Our counselor stats are even worse. The recommended ratio is 1 counselor for 250 students. Our average in Nevada is 1 to 700. So it is far away and above what we should be experiencing. And when we get into school psychologists, social workers, and our mental health practitioners, it is much worse. And this is a significant issue because class size impacts behavior. So when we hear about behavior issues in our schools, a lot of that directly comes from large class sizes. It impacts individual attention that I can give to students to help those that are struggling, and more importantly, help those that are easy at hiding, that are very well behaved and act like they understand what's happening, but maybe aren't fully grasping the material. And it helps with mental health. I have had a number of students that have come to me in crisis, and we have referred them to help, and the soonest they can be seen is 6 months or more. And that is not what our kids need. Moreover, it impacts retention. A teacher can only teach classes of 40 for so long before they are burned out and they leave the profession. And it impacts our pipeline, because if you're a student that's in a class of 40, are you going to be want to be a teacher? I doubt that, because you've seen what it's like. So my bill aims to address this with one small step. And I know we are not going to fix this whole issue in one bill or one session, but I want us to engage in a dialogue of how to fix it. So my bill adds, and I'm going to go through the bill right now in case you have it in front of you. My bill simply adds 2 topics to mandatory collective bargaining. It adds the ratio of pupils per licensed teacher for each classroom and the ratio of pupils per each type of specialized instructional support personnel. Those are 2 topics that I want to be discussed in mandatory bargaining. I'm not saying what you have to do with it. I'm not saying what the solutions need to be. I'm not saying even that you have to do anything. But I want the districts to discuss this with their unions every time they bargain. And the reason for that is currently districts can and do refuse to discuss class size and caseloads. We have state mandated ratios, but they are recommended. They are not required. Districts apply for a waiver for those ratios, and I looked it up. Not one waiver has ever been denied in the history of those ratios. So it is just a rubber stamp. When we allocate money to the districts, we can encourage them to reduce class sizes, but we are not tying that money to class sizes, so we as a state legislature are not mandating it. And when individuals from the public come in to talk about it, the districts can also once again refuse to act. And so this is meant to be a conversation starter. Again, I'm not forcing anything, but I think that we need to have conversations, and those conversations could be hiring more teachers. They could be mandating ratios, certainly, but it could also be bonuses for teachers that have students over a certain amount. It could be we're going to set aside money for future school buildings. It is open, but it allows for a more creative distribution of funds. I know the pie is not growing, but teachers could come in and say, hey, instead of a 10% raise, we'll take a 2% if you do X, Y, and Z on class size, right? And so it allows for more creative budgetary conversations. Some may come up in opposition to this bill because they're worried that it has mandates. And I know we're not the fiscal committee, but there are fiscal notes on there, and I wanted to just touch on those in that they are a misinterpretation of the bill. Some of the districts interpreted this as mandating the state ratios that we have as recommendations. That is not what this bill does. And again, if the district doesn't agree in negotiating, that's not the ratio that they would have. And to close, I just want to say that as a teacher, I think the most important thing we can do in this building is make sure the money that we spend actually gets to the classroom and to the students, and not to upper level admin, not to fancy new district offices, not to computers and a fancy new digital curriculum, but to students and classrooms. And I think that this bill achieves that purpose. And with that, I will stand for questions.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the Government Affairs again. And we do have some questions. We will start with Assembly Member Kasama.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Assemblymember LaRue Hatch, for your passionate plea to make sure that the money gets to the classrooms and the students, because I wholeheartedly agree with that. And so I certainly echo your sentiments there. And you did say that it would not be mandatory, but how, as far as the classroom sizes, let me back up on that. My concern is, I completely agree with you too. We want classroom sizes that are manageable. If it's 25 kids and you said at times you're teaching up to 40, my concern is it's not even the money. As you know, we had so many vacancies in our school districts. We have trouble hiring enough teachers for the classroom. So what would happen if you include this? Because if it's mandatory, it's 25 kids per classroom, and you say you have 40, where do the other 15 kids go when we don't have the teachers? How is that going to work? And you said it's not mandatory, but when you put it in the language, I'm really concerned that there's no carve out here that it's a discussion or a goal.
Thank you for the question. Chair, may I go direct? Okay, thank you. So I appreciate this question because we hear it a lot when we talk about, Assemblymember LaRue Hatch for the record, thank you. We hear this a lot when we talk about class size, that we don't have the teachers. And again, I think we don't have the teachers because our class sizes are so enormous, because teachers are quitting, because we're not recruiting new teachers. But when I say it's mandatory collective bargaining, that means this is a topic that must be discussed when we bargain. It does not mean the outcome of that discussion is mandated. The outcome of that discussion is based on the district bargaining and the union bargaining and recognizing the budget and recognizing the staffing. And so if they don't have enough teachers, they're probably not going to put into the contract a 1-to-25 ratio, right? They might put into the contract, we'll give you $5 for every student over 25 to recognize the extra work and hopefully retain teachers. Or maybe they'll put into the contract, we'll give you a 1% raise, but we'll hire 5 more teachers to try to spread out the load, right? It is going to be district by district and contract by contract specific, but I highly doubt that any district or union is going to put into the contract something that they can't accomplish. And I will also say we put things into the contract sometimes, especially cost of living adjustments or benefits. And then when we have a recession or a downturn, there are triggers in the contract that we have to come back to the table and renegotiate. And so I envision that if they put something in the contract that is not achievable because of some change in not being able to hire staff or not having enough money, that provision would trigger and they would have to come and renegotiate.
Thank you. That answered my question as well. Our next question is from Assemblymember Flanagan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, Assemblymember LaRue Hatch. Thank you for bringing this forward. Are you finding in your research that this is across the board, elementary, middle, and high school, or is there a greater concentration of concern with student-to-teacher ratio in one of those 3 categories? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question, Assemblymember LaRue Hatch for the record. So we currently have a lot more focus on lowering class size in our grades 1 through 3, and that I find is not as big of an issue because of that intense focus on those 3 grades. However, that doesn't mean it's not an issue in those grades. It is across the board, and it is largely due to historic lack of funding, teacher shortages, and other challenges the districts face. But this isn't across the state, across the board issue. I know a lot of high school teachers, it's very common to have over 35 students in our classrooms. I know elementary teachers, it's very common to have over 20, and that might not sound like a lot, but 27-year-olds in a room is a lot. And so I hear from teachers, and I'm sure you'll hear from them today in their support testimony, that it is an across the board issue.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation. We will now move on to testimony. Testimony can be provided in person in Carson City, via video conference in Las Vegas, or over the phone. Further instructions for providing testimony can be found on the agenda. As I mentioned at the start of the meeting, we will set a 20-minute time limit for periods of support, opposition, and neutral testimony. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. We will begin with testimony in support of AB 155, and we will begin in Carson City. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kayla Maese, spelled K-A-Y-L-A-H. Last name is M-A-E-S-E. I'm a civil rights analyst at the ACLU of Nevada, and we support this bill and thank the bill sponsor for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair, and thank you to the members of the committee. I'm Jim New, N-E-W, President of the Nevada Faculty Alliance, and we appreciate that Assembly Member LaRue Hatch brought this forward, and we are in full support of this bill. Thank you.
Alexander Marks of the Nevada State Education Association. I want y'all to kind of close your eyes for a moment and picture this. You're sitting in your chair, trying to focus, trying to learn. Now imagine pushing your chair back to stand up and immediately bumping into another student. Every single day. Nevada continues to struggle with the largest class sizes in the nation, with the most recent data from the NEA indicates it's not even close. During the 22-23 school year, Nevada had 25.4 students enrolled per teacher. Arizona came in a close second with 22.8, a difference of more than 2.5 students per teacher. Of course, these numbers include teachers not in classrooms, meaning most Nevada classrooms have 30, 35, or 40 more students, as the Assembly member said. Caseloads for students, counselors, social workers, and other licensed professionals are equally concerning. The numbers of students in our class makes a real difference for students and teachers alike. Nevada's large class sizes and caseloads are directly related to chronic underfunding of Nevada education. The most effective action this body can take to lower class size should be to pass the plan offered by the Commission on School Funding to reach optimal education funding in the next 10 years. However, the mechanisms used to address class size are also important, and we believe class size should be a mandatory subject of bargaining regardless of funding levels. Collective bargaining, a mutual exchange of positions followed by an agreement, enables employees to negotiate a binding written contract with an employer. It gives the workers a voice on the issue that impacts them in their workplace. Class size is not just one of the most impactful workplace issues for educators, it's also one of the most important things facing our school districts. Passing AB 155 means the issues of class size will be discussed during bargaining, where there will be trade-offs with salary, benefits, and other economic considerations. AB 155 will not increase costs on districts. Contracts are agreed to at the table or awarded through binding arbitration. This is already the case, and adding class size as a mandatory subject of bargaining doesn't change the financial parameters. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Justice Forrest, both spelled like the words. I work for the Nevada Association for the Education of Young Children, and we are in strong support of this bill. It is crucial, especially at the K through 3 level, that classroom sizes are able to be negotiated, because when you are working with small children and you have 30, 40 kids in a classroom, it is incredibly difficult to give them the one-on-one education and care they need. And frankly, as someone who lives in Reno, our office is located in Reno, where in the state of California, they have these bargaining rights. Why would you choose to be a teacher in Nevada, where, as previously mentioned, we have the highest classroom sizes in the country, when you could drive less than an hour across the border and teach in California, where you have these rights? We don't want to lose our teachers. They are valuable, they are critical. And when they suffer these classroom sizes and aren't able to negotiate that in their contracts, they consider moving and leaving. And we don't want that kind of brain drain of qualified teachers in our state. Thank you very much.
Hello, Ross Kinson, KINSON, Northern Nevada Central Labor Council. I did have a lot of things I was going to say about collective bargaining and all of that, but the previous gentleman who came up here and spoke, I think, said it very succinctly, so I will just give a quick ditto and we'll move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City who wishes to testify in support of AB 155? Please step forward to the table. We will each have up to 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name for the record and begin. And if there's anyone else who wants to, as people leave the table, please come up and fill in those spaces. Thank you.
This is Laura Ellis, Lauraellis. Parents, think about raising your teenager. Think about one 13-year-old, then maybe picture a group of their friends, then try to picture a whole room of them, except now imagine them all being from a low socioeconomic school zone. I'm an experienced geologist and a veteran middle school science teacher. I represent the WEA, and I appreciate the chance to speak today. I am passionate about students learning science through hands-on experiences. Try to imagine 36 Title I 13-year-olds handling Bunsen burners, or microscopes, or dissection tools. Then imagine 6 kids on an IEP, 4 kids on a 504, and at least a third of the class classified as ELL. Then please tell me how safe and effective you think I can be running a lab. I am a highly qualified classroom teacher with almost 10 years of classroom experience, and I cannot tell you the last time I felt safe managing a proper science lab in a Title I public school setting. I recently spent a semester teaching at a private school where my class sizes were no more than 18. Of course, we were able to dissect multiple species to study comparative anatomy. We could use microscopes to compare plant and animal cells, but that is why families are paying over $20,000 per year. However, one reason that position did not sit well with me is that our public school children are not able to have even a fraction of that educational experience. Widening the achievement gap because families have money went against what I stand for as a teacher, trying to encourage and educate the greater population. If part of our goal as a public school system is to lift up the students who have not been born into privilege so they can become educated, productive members of our society, there is no way we should be allowing more than 25 kids in a science classroom. I additionally advocate for multiple adults in the room to support our special populations if materials are going to be managed safely and effectively. I am only one person, again, highly qualified with excellent classroom management skills. The current class sizes, especially mixed with special populations, do not allow me to do my job effectively.
I'm sorry, caller, your 2 minutes, I'm sorry. Your 2 minutes are just about up. Please quickly wrap it up.
I urge you to drastically reduce class sizes so that all students can have the equitable education they deserve. Thank you.
Jennifer Malaterre, Malaterre. Good morning, and thank you, Assembly Committee on Government Affairs, for listening to my testimony. I am the Dean of Students at Traynor Middle School and a Washoe Education Association member. Prior to being a dean, I was a middle school math teacher for 14 years, also in Washoe County, at a Title I school, and have had 2 children that graduated in WCSD public schools and 2 currently in them, both in special education. I am pleading with you as a mom, teacher, and administrator to vote yes on Assembly Bill 155. While I was a highly effective math teacher, I will tell you that the struggle is real, having 35 plus students in the classroom. I did have some co-taught classes for special education students as well as general education. My co-teacher and I were seamless in our instruction and adhering to the needs of every student, regardless of the emotional and physical impact it had on us. When I came home, I was too exhausted to engage in extracurricular activities with my children after having 170 students in 5 classes. It simply was not fair. Although I had to keep moving forward and be the best mom I could be, what mountains I could have moved with my boys if I wasn't so exhausted from maintaining classroom expectations of rigor and engagement to an unrealistic class size multiple times a day, 5 days a week. In my current position as the dean, most of the behaviors I am called to classes for is simply because there is an unimaginable number of students in the room to be able to conduct restore at the doors and re-engage students in their important learning. I have a tremendous amount of talented and exceptional colleagues that I'm honored to work side by side with, but they are unable to fully excel in their craft with the staffing to student ratios. AB 155 is not a magic wand that is going to fix our education system. However, it is a chance to include educators, our association, in the negotiations to inspire collaboration and making the changes necessary in impacting the lives of all our students. Educators make approximately 1,500 decisions per day with the information that is given. It only seems just that they have the voice to make one more chance to give our next generation a fighting chance. This is a feasible bill to discuss collective bargaining with a focus on class sizes, which I know weigh on all your hearts. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Coughlin, Coughlin. This is my 23rd year in the district. I have been a special education teacher and aide, and right now I'm a special education pre-K teacher. I have 18 students in my morning class, 18 students under the age of 4, which is a lot. And I have seen numerous of my colleagues and friends leave the district because they get so frustrated with the lack of support and the huge class sizes. Thank you for listening.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. My name is Adrienne Conley, Adrienne, Conley, Conley, and I'm a kindergarten teacher here in Reno, Nevada, and I've been an educator and proud WEA member for 22 years. I hold a master's degree in education, and I'm a nationally board certified teacher. Despite kindergarten being a pivotal introduction to school, it has already surprised me that class sizes have only recently been capped at 25 students. That means I am responsible for 25 5-year-olds. 25 5-year-olds. Think of 5-year-olds. Now put them all in one room. That means most of whom have never been in a classroom before. In the first 9 weeks alone, I teach them essential skills: how to hold a pencil, sit in a chair, line up, and even use scissors safely, cutting paper, not their clothes, not their hair, not their friend's hair, not their friend's clothes. At the same time, I am introducing them to academics, writing their names, counting, recognizing letters, rhyming words, understanding how words and pictures work together in a book in the first 9 weeks of school. Beyond this, I support students with special needs and an increasing number of children with severe speech impediments, making communication and early intervention more challenging. Smaller class sizes would allow me to give each student the attention they need, ensuring they meet the rigorous and educational standards set by the district and the state. That's why I urge support for AB 155, which ensures WEA has a seat at the table when discussing staffing and class size ratios. Educators must be included in decisions that directly impact our students. Lowering class sizes, especially in kindergarten, isn't just about making our jobs easier. It's an investment in our children's future. Let's make sure they get the strong foundation they need to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you begin, out of our 20 minutes, we've done 12 minutes in Carson City, so I want to move down to Las Vegas, then the phones, and then come back to Carson City if time allows. Anyone who is testifying, please submit your testimony to the committee as well, and if someone has said something that you agree with, you can always just say ditto. So I would like to now go down to Las Vegas. If you are testifying in support of AB 155, please step up to the table. Okay, no one in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone on the phone lines?
If you would like to testify in support of AB 155, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, the line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. We'll come back to Carson City. Please go ahead, state your name and spell it for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Kalen Evans, that's C-A-L-E-N, and I'm the president of the Washoe Education Association. And I'm not going to go into the specifics of the impact of class size on not only learning conditions, but working conditions. We have some folks here who can speak to that. But I want to be very clear about what this bill is, and when opponents of this come up, negotiation does not equal obligation. There is no obligation of the district to set any sort of class size requirements. And if there is anybody that's coming up here and saying that, that's an extremely misleading statement. This is just about providing the opportunity for conversation. And beyond conversation, it's about collaboration. That's what associations do in all workforces. They're working in collaboration with management to solve problems. Why wouldn't we want another opportunity in an issue as impactful as class size for the ability for further collaboration? And I will tell you, and I'll end it with this, our folks on the ground, those in the trenches, they have so many solutions to a lot of the problems that we face in our schools, but we just need our district leadership to collaborate and listen to those, and that's what this bill is about. It's about collaboration and empowering voices to have a seat at the table. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Laura Coyne, Lauracoyne. Thank you for this opportunity. I've been an educator for 28 years, 20 years in Washoe County, and a proud union member of the WEA since I arrived here in Washoe County. I'm here for AB 155 and its importance for open communication between school districts and unions. Having a seat at the table allows you to be part of the conversation. I'm sure you've heard a lot about class size today, but how does it really impact learning? Having less students in your class allows you the opportunity to read with each child every day. Work one-on-one for math. Small group instruction is really small group. But academics isn't all that is impacted by less students in your room. You can have meaningful conversations with your students every day. You can hear about what troubles them every day. You can learn that they go hungry at night. You can see that they wear the same clothes all week. You can see that they are dirty and smell like urine and feces every day. When too many students are in the classroom, you are less connected, and students get lost in the system. I value my work as an educator. I know that I am lucky this year to only have 15 students in my room. I had 2 move away and no one has replaced my friends, so I'm lucky this year. My colleagues have 18 to 20. Please consider the benefits of AB 155 and its ability to allow collaboration between Nevada school districts and all the associations that protect their members and the true value of class size. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Darcy Thomas, D-A-R-C-I-E, Thomas, T-H-O-M-A-S. I'm a social resource teacher in the special ed department at a local elementary school. I serve up to 18 on my caseload, and what mostly my caseload is are kids that are on the spectrum that I teach them social skills. Most of them have major behavioral issues. In the classroom, we face the challenging environment where we cannot afford to deeply dive into content learning. There's a constant need to move into the next topic, even if the students haven't fully grasped the material. This approach often leads to gaps in understanding and doesn't support meaningful learning for these students. I'm here to support those gen ed students that I co-teach with them and support with them. And additionally, behaviors are becoming a growing concern, impacting the overall classroom environment. These behaviors are affecting not only the students that are trying to get engaged, but also those that are trying to complete the content learning. Despite these challenges, grading stays the same, content stays the same, and struggling to get those data collections stays the same. One critical aspect is that we need to address is that the increasing need for all of that data collection, especially for those students that are on the special education needs. However, even if this data hasn't been collected and always adjusted effectively to teach each one of those students and their individual needs. Students' abilities to support reoccurrences is diverse and making this incredibly difficult to meet everyone's needs. The number of students in the classroom combined with the behavior disruptions creates an environment where the individual attention is challenging to provide for each of them.
I'm sorry, that is your 2 minutes. If you could please wrap it up. We have about 3 minutes left in support.
These dynamics need to be acknowledged and addressed, and we often are truly support all these learners in the way that they can all become successful learners. Thank you.
Thank you, and we will continue, but if someone has said something you've already said, feel free to state your name and say ditto.
My name is Alex Gauvain, A-L-E-X-G-A-U-V-A-I-N. I'd like to thank the committee for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Stead Elementary School. I'm also one of the school's WA building reps. I've been teaching for 13 years in Washoe County. I hold a master's degree in elementary education and a master's degree in English language learning. I'm speaking today because the current student-to-teacher ratio maximums are too high. In 4th grade, my grade, the maximum student-to-teacher ratio is 33.5 to 1. Before an allocation can be triggered, AB 155 will give the WEA a bargaining opportunity with Washoe County School District so that the discussion of reducing class sizes can at least be had. Class sizes is one of the biggest challenges to teachers. In my personal experience, large classes of 26 or more present unneeded number of challenges for many reasons, and I will touch on a few here. I am unable to consistently meet the needs of every student. My typical students typically range from 1st grade level to on-grade level, which makes it very challenging to teach all of them with large numbers. Intervention groups become too high and too large, preventing me from meeting my groups daily. The classroom is louder, and students with anxiety and other learning disabilities have a much harder time processing information. And regardless of classroom management styles, larger classes give more opportunity for disruptions, a greater audience for students exhibiting improper or defiant behavior. I urge the committee to vote in favor of AB 155. Lowering class sizes is not impossible. AB 155 does not automatically increase the cost to the district. Rather, it provides an opportunity to collaborate and have dialogue. And not having dialogue with the teachers about this is illogical. Collaboration between the district and the teachers is what is best for the students. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Julie Cleghorn, Cleghorn, and I'm going to say ditto to Alex. I teach fourth grade as well, and despite the 33.5 ratio student to teachers, I have 35 students that I do the same exact thing that he was talking about every day. And so just a discussion, having somebody in my corner, the WEA, to speak on my behalf would be essential, in my opinion.
Hi, my name is Leticia Lopez, Leticia. I'm going to say ditto to Julie. I work with her. We each have 35 students in our classrooms, and we are burnt out, and we need help. And I'm glad that we're speaking about Bill AB 155. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, if you have testimony, please submit it. You can submit testimony on a bill up to 24 hours after the committee. We will now move on to opposition in support of AB 155. Is there anyone in Carson City who wishes to testify in opposition to AB 155? Please come up to the table and begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair Considine and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Nick Schneider, Director of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. We're here in opposition to AB 155 and do appreciate the intention of this bill. We have been longtime advocates for improving educational outcomes and supporting educators within the state. However, we do have some concerns just with the mechanism of requiring these discussions at this time. Just in that this could incur significant increases in infrastructure costs as well as other expenses for the school districts, as well as we haven't had sufficient time really with some of the legislation we passed last session to augment our talent pool through a better teacher pipeline to have effect and increase that talent pool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition to AB 155? Seeing no one else, I'll move to Las Vegas. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition to AB 155? Seeing no one approach, AVH, is there anyone on the line?
If you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 155, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, the line is open and working, and there are no callers at this time.
Thank you. We will now move to neutral testimony. Is there anyone here in Carson City who would like to testify in neutral on AB 155? Please go ahead when you're ready.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, for the record, my name is Susan Kima. I am the Executive Director for the Nevada Association of School Superintendents. At this time, we are neutral on AB 155. Assemblymember LaRue Hatch has provided us valuable information to take back to our members. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in Carson City? Not seeing anyone approach, we will move to neutral testimony in Las Vegas. Not seeing anyone approach in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone in neutral on AB 155 on the phone?
If you'd like to testify in neutral for AB 155, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. And we'll bring the sponsor forward if you'd like to give any final remarks.
Just quickly, thank you so much for taking the time and especially to hear the stories from teachers on the ground. I think, Assemblymember LaRue Hatch for the record, I think they are the most important piece here. And just to give you a visual, I was doing a little counting. There's about 85 people in this room. That represents a little over 2 of my classes and less than half of the number of students I teach each year, to give you a visual of what we're talking about. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I will now close the hearing on AB 155, and I will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 191, which revises provisions relating to collective bargaining. To present this measure, we have representatives from the to present this measure, we have Assembly Member Anderson, and she will introduce her fellow presenters. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Considine, Vice Chair Nguyen, and members of the Assembly Government Affairs. My name is Natha Anderson, and it is my honor to represent Assembly District 30. Before I begin, though, I'd just like to thank you for having this hearing. I know that there are many bills that would be assigned to, I can't necessarily say the hardest working committee, but I know that there are many that would like me to say that. So I will acknowledge it. As a proud third-generation union member and union leader, it is my pleasure to propose Assembly Bill 191. It would authorize collective bargaining to certain professional employees of the Nevada System of Higher Ed, or NCHE. Currently, many public employees have the ability to collectively bargain, as you just heard, but our faculty and graduate assistants are the largest groups of Nevada public employees who do not have that right currently. Instead, these policies are found in the Nevada System of Higher Ed Professional Staff Collective Bargaining Policies, which are governed by the Board of Regents, which means that they must be agendized in a meeting to be discussed. I'm actually going to turn topic a little bit, and I'm going to use the year 1990. 1990, okay, I'm going to give away my age, but that's okay. 1990, I entered the University of Nevada, Reno as a freshman. The fall, I had my eyes open to what the life could be. I had dreams of becoming a journalist, as I know there is somebody on this committee that is, which I'm very jealous of. And I also had ideas of becoming a geologist. Believe it or not, don't worry, it only lasted one semester. I went through so many different majors. But in 1990 is when I was a freshman, brand new. 1990 is also where many of the items that deal with collective bargaining were actually defined. The last time they were defined in this binder. When I take a look, just a small study of Chapter 4 of the Professional Staff Collective Bargaining Regulations, there are just a few things. One item that has not been updated, the grievances. Oh, I'm so sorry. The grievances actually were updated in 2006. But some other items, such as the recognition of which areas or which employees can actually bargain, 1990. Annual evaluations were updated in 2016. However, the request to update who can bargain has been made numerous times and has not been considered for whatever reason. Our graduate assistants were once a member of, or once able to bargain. In 1975, I do have that document as well that clearly showed them listed. But between 1975, when I was 3, and 1990, when I was 18, there was a change. Why? We don't know why, but what we can do in this body is we can rectify that situation. And what we can do is actually try to show that every individual has the right to bargain. AB 191 clarifies bargaining units must have a majority approval of the employees and clarifies there must be different bargaining units between a supervisor and other personnel. AB 191, clearly defines Weingarten-like rights and the required parts of collective bargaining agreements, something that you just heard about. AB 191 does not change Nevada statutes as a right to work state. It does not impact the provisions of NRS 288, which is utilized for other local government employees or state classified employees. Now, this is where the amendment comes that was hand-delivered to all of you yesterday and is also uploaded. The conceptual amendment, there was a small typo on it, actually. If you take a look at Section 58, 1B, mediation was crossed off. Arbitration should also be crossed off. So that typo was my fault. So please, if you would please strike that out as well. By allowing for the procedures for arbitration is defined in other sections. That would not impact any other part of NRS 288. Finally, AB 191 does not require any Nevada system of higher education employee to be a member of a professional organization or pay member dues. That is the choice of an employee to do so. AB 191 gives NC professional employees the same rights and responsibilities for collective bargaining as other public employees in Nevada. By mirroring the existing provisions for collective bargaining found in NRS Chapter 288, we would be able to create an almost balance or equilibrium with other employees by covering it in state law instead of hoping that it's going to be agendized in a meeting. With the chair's permission, I would like to introduce Kent Irvin of the Nevada Faculty Alliance, who will describe the bill in more detail.
Good morning, Kent Irvin, K-E-N-T-E-R-V-I-N for the Nevada Faculty Alliance. Thank you, Assemblymember Anderson, Chair Considine, and committee members for the opportunity to present AB 191, a bill to improve our higher education system through collaboration between NSHE professionals and administrators. The Nevada Faculty Alliance is the independent association of faculty and professional staff of NSHE colleges and universities. We are working on AB 191 along with the Nevada Graduate Student Workers, UAW. NFA is the bargaining agent for faculty collective bargaining at 3 of our community colleges. However, collective bargaining at NSHE is allowed only through the policy handbook which is outdated and does not provide the protections and responsibilities that other public employees in Nevada have under NRS 288. AB 191 will apply to professional employees at NSHE and will not affect collective bargaining statute for local government employees or state classified employees. Professional employees covered by AB 191 include academic faculty, non-managerial administrative faculty, part-time instructors, and graduate assistants if they in the future choose to form a bargaining unit and ask to be recognized. The bill closely follows the collective bargaining provisions already in NRS Chapter 288 for state classified employees, with some clarifications for higher education under a governing board like the Board of Regents. AB 191 allows professional employees and NSHE to access the State Government Employees Management Relations Board, or EMRB, for resolution of negotiation and contract issues, which would save time and litigation, a clear benefit to both sides. Only the legislature can authorize NSHE and its employees to use the EMRB. Under its internal collective bargaining policies, NSHE is both bargaining and interpreting the rules of engagement a clear conflict of interest. AB 191 will level the playing field by allowing access to third-party mediation and arbitration, the same as in NRS 288 for state classified employees. AB 191 preserves the full authority of the legislature and governor over budgets and legislation. Go ahead.
I believe with the chair's permission, I believe we have somebody on Zoom, Michael Piccinelli.
Michael Piccinelli of the American Federation of Teachers, and then Ratua Lambatobing of the American Association of University Professors, please.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. As Ken said, my name is Michael Piccinelli. That's M-I-C-H-A-E-L, P-I-C-C-I-N-E-L-L-I, and I am attorney with the AFT Legal Department. The AFT is the national affiliate of the Nevada Faculty Alliance and the American Association of University Professors. The AFT has long championed collective bargaining rights for public employees and has worked with faculty across the country to improve their wages, hours, and working conditions. We are testifying here in support of AB 191 and hope Nevada will join the 26 other states that statutorily require collective bargaining with all public higher education faculty. The committee should have my written testimony that compares the proposed legislation with the National Labor Relations Act, that's the law that governs the private sector labor relations in the country, and other public employee collective bargaining laws in the United States. My written testimony compares the bill in 5 key areas: the right to organize, the individual right for an employee to have a union representative at meetings with the employer, how a bargaining unit is determined, the collective bargaining process, and how individual disputes are settled under a collective bargaining agreement. In short, there is nothing in this bill that is outside the mainstream as it relates to other state collective bargaining laws and the private sector. This bill would align Nevada with those states. For example, as I said earlier, 26 other states protect faculty collective bargaining rights. Most AFT affiliates are organized in bargaining units under a community of interest standard, the same as this bill. At least 9 states that ban public employee strikes require arbitration as a last step for settling a bargaining impasse between the employer and the union. Again, those are states that don't allow public employees to strike, just like Nevada. And finally, almost all union contracts. In fact, it's been a long time since I've seen a union contract that doesn't provide for arbitration as a last step to settle a grievance in a grievance procedure. This bill would provide important rights to faculty to improve not only their own working conditions, but the learning conditions of higher education students in the state. Collective bargaining provides transparency and accountability for public higher education and will help ensure that universities remain a place where students are educated to creatively and constructively understand their world. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability about AFT's experience in higher education collective bargaining in other states, and any other questions or details on my written testimony that I've already submitted to the committee. Thank you.
Ms. Louboutin, I'm so sorry, I'm going to mispronounce your name. If you'd like to go next.
Thank you. Chair Considine and committee members. My name is Rotua, that's R-O-T-U-A, Lumbantobing, L-U-M-B-A-N-T-O-B-I-N-G. I am a faculty member at Western Connecticut State University and the National Vice President of the American Association of University Professors. AAUP is a union of college and university teachers, researchers, librarians, and other academic workers. We support AB 191 for 3 reasons. First, faculty collective bargaining strengthens instructional quality and contributes to student success. Fair contracts provide stable jobs with fair wages and benefits, reducing reliance on short-term gig labor. Students deserve instructors who can focus on teaching and supporting them. Collective bargaining contributes to high-quality working conditions that in turn elevate students' learning conditions. Second, collective bargaining upholds shared governance by ensuring faculty experts play a central role in decisions about curricula and pedagogy, while fostering collaborative mutual agreements on matters of shared concerns. Third, collective bargaining serves the common good. Colleges and universities are being attacked in ways that will restrict access to higher education and limit what can be said, studied, and debated on campus. Collective bargaining helps protect professionalism and ethical integrity, preserving a free and open society for all Nevada residents. We urge you to support AB 191. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Chair Considine. I just have 2 more individuals. Both are from the Graduate Assistance Union, or AAUW, United Auto Workers. Evelyn Aram, if you would like to speak next.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Evelyn Aram, E-V-E-L-Y-N-A-I-R-A-M, and I'm a graduate assistant in the School of Integrated Health Sciences at UNLV. And I teach anatomy physiology labs. As part of the NGSW UAW, I'm proud to support AB 191 so that GAs have a fair bargaining process with NSHE enshrined in Nevada law. I graduated summa cum laude from UNLV with my bachelor's degree, and when the time came to go for graduate school, I chose to only apply to UNLV. I chose to stay because I believe in this institution. I believe in its potential to provide an exceptional education and do cutting-edge research. But despite my and my colleagues' valuable contributions to NSC, we lack a real voice to address challenges we face. In recent survey, 1 in 4 GAs said that they have experienced or witnessed harassment and discrimination in the workplace. 1 in 4 GAs experienced or witnessed retaliation for raising workplace issues. And 79% of GAs stated that they don't feel that their pay covers their living expenses. I personally have been forced to skip meals, sell my blood plasma on a weekly basis, and worry if gas in my car was enough to make it to work and classes. In order to maintain UNLV and UNR's R1 Carnegie status, we must attract and retain top scholars. But how can we do that when wages don't cover rent, when there's no independent recourse for mistreatment, and when GA's positions are constantly insecure? If you're GA in this room and in Las Vegas and have ever faced unfair treatment from a supervisor or struggle to afford basic expenses, please stand. AB 191 is a critical step towards fairness, stability, and respect. I urge you to stand with us and support this bill. Thank you.
And finally, Clay Renshaw.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for hearing our bill today. My name is Clay Renshaw, C-L-A-Y-R-E-N-S-H-A-W. I'm a graduate assistant, or GA, in the Department of Chemistry at the University of Nevada, Reno. I'm proud to support AB 191 to enshrine the right for GAs to collectively bargain into Nevada law. In my role as a GA, I teach chemistry labs and conduct research on infectious bacteria that can cause fatal diseases in humans. GAs do a significant portion of the teaching and research at UNR, UNLV, and DRI. We're proud of the work we do, but we face many challenges in our working conditions and lack a seat at the table with our employer to address these challenges. I've lived in Nevada my whole life. I grew up in poverty in a broken home and was only able to go to college by taking out student loans and working multiple jobs. Still, I graduated from UNLV at the top of my class. I say these things because I and many of my fellow GAs know what it means to overcome adversity and forge a path forward. That said, no matter how hard we work, many talented GAs are not able to fully contribute to our state because of unsustainable working conditions. Too many of my colleagues have been pushed out of labs by abusive supervisors, have had their positions suddenly taken away, and have struggled to afford groceries and rent despite doing research that brings in tens of millions of dollars in grants and contracts. That's why a supermajority of GAs across Nevada, over 1,500 of us, have signed union authorization cards to form our union, Nevada Graduate Student Workers UAW, or NGSW UAW. But despite a clear decision to unionize, Nevada GAs lack a fair bargaining process to begin negotiations with NSHE. Passing AB 191 will ensure GAs have a seat at the table. We ask that the committee support this important bill. Thank you.
So thank you so much for hearing the stories, because sometimes when we look at the language, it's language. But when we get a chance to hear from others and the impact that language has, it becomes a reality. Dr. Irving and Nefe has actually submitted a written section-by-section description of the bill. So Chair Considine, we can walk through that if you like, or we can answer questions, whatever you prefer.
It's up to you what you prefer. Just looking at time, consider the timing.
Dr. Irving, I'll give you 1 minute. Go.
I had a 3-minute version and a 2-minute version. So this creates a new Kent Irvin Nevada Faculty Alliance, no sign. So the covered employees are in Section 5, or employers. It's limited to boards and commissions like the Board of Regents. That eliminates other state agencies. And it's limited to those boards and commissions that have over 400 professional employees, which is currently NSHE. Professional employees in Section 13 basically makes the bill apply to anyone who is not a state classified employee. Then there's a list of exceptions that are mainly there for clarity. Sections 25 to 31 outline the formation of new bargaining units using the community of interest standard, and that process is overseen by the Employee Management Relations Board, which again, only the legislature can authorize to interact with NSHE. The negotiation topics in Section 32, like you heard in the last bill, a list of topics, is where the issues you've just heard about can be addressed. If a collective bargaining agreement between professionals and NSHE results in a provision that requires either legislative action or funding, those do not take effect until the legislature and governor enact those changes or pass that budget. And that's a good place to stop.
I understand, Assemblymember Anderson, for the record, I'm scared of the sign as well. So thank you, though, for at least giving us the opportunity to present this bill. The time is now. We've attempted to do this through policies, and it's just not being heard. So at this time, we're more than happy to attempt to answer any questions the committee might have.
Thank you so much for the presentation. We do have some questions. We will start with Assemblymember De Silva.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Assemblymember Anderson and team for bringing this bill forward. You know, I don't think that the benefits of collective bargaining can be understated. I mean, it helps everybody who's involved. And this issue particularly, you know, organizing at our universities, you know, both the graduate schools I attended, you know, this was a big topic. I think very recently, I think both voted to form unions. And, you know, but my bill is more so focused on the questions on the structures of the bill. You know, so will this bill require NSHE faculty to form collective bargaining units? And does the bill create new bargaining units if the bill is enacted? Thank you.
Kent Irvin, Nevada Faculty Alliance. So the answer is no. It does not create any new bargaining units. We have the 3 at the community colleges now. Our Nevada State University folks are asking the Board of Regents on Friday to authorize an election under the old outdated rules that are problematic. And then we've heard from the graduate students. Beyond that, yes, other groups could come together with the community of interest and ask to be, but that's an organizing process that takes time. So as far as the bill creating any new bargaining units, no. And how many does it create? 0.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Carter.
Good morning. Again, I'm back to the bones of what we're trying to achieve here. What is typically points of bargaining or key points in collective bargaining agreements, both when it comes to professional staff and grad students? I imagine it's slightly different, but if you could elaborate, I'd appreciate it.
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record, there are differences. They are not collectively bargained together because they are different elements that are necessary. I believe, I might ask Jim New, who, I'm going to phone a friend, so it'll be just a moment with a little chair change, if possible. Because as an educator and union for my own, we would not bargain with the administrators because they were the administrators. They were our evaluators. And so there would have to be a separation between those two items. And I think that's kind of what you're asking at, but then what are the other elements of the bargaining? So if you could please answer that for me.
Thank you, Jim New, NEW, Nevada Faculty Alliance, and Madam Chair, through you to Assemblymember Carter. Our negotiations over the years, and let me clarify that I've been at TMCC for 27 years now. Our bargaining contract was established in 1992. We have had 10 contract negotiations. I've been at the table for 6 of those on both sides, both as an administrator and now as a faculty member. Our negotiations usually surround issues such as workload issues, issues of communicating with our students, and I'll give you an example of that. Traditionally, college faculty were required to maintain 5 office hours a week, which meant that we were in our offices ready to meet and assist students. Of course, before the pandemic, that landscape was starting to shift as students became more attuned to online options. But the pandemic really threw that into overdrive. And so we are teaching more classes online, and those students who are online are the students who are not coming to the campus in order to meet with the faculty members. And we negotiated in our last contract at TMCC a new policy that oversaw the office hours, and we call them now student support hours, because it meets the students where they are, and it makes it more convenient. It was just a way to make things work more efficiently and be responsive to our students' needs. Other issues that we have negotiated time and time again in every negotiation I've been involved in is to improve the process for resolving disputes. And our goal has always been to resolve those disputes at the lowest, most informal level possible. And we negotiated language about 4 years ago at TMCC that sent grievances at the institution that used to average about 7 per year down to, in actually 3 years in a row, we had 0 grievances. We've had a couple this year. But it has been very effective in helping us communicate with administration and discuss better ways to get things done above and beyond just talking about things like compensation. I hope that answered your question. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember DeLong.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much for the presentation. I need some help understanding the scope of this bill. Does it just cover the ability for students to unionize, or does it also cover tenured faculty's ability to unionize?
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record, it would cover both. It is not just the one. The graduate students are being added in, but then also to allow for the other tenured, the other individuals to be able to do so, if they wish to. It is not an automatic. There has to be, as described earlier, there has to be a campaign, there has to be a process, but it is simply giving permission to do so.
Understand. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Goulding.
Thank you, Chair. I want to particularly thank the graduate students for showing up today. I'm impressed by the numbers that arrived today. I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit about if the collective bargaining would conflict with or override the shared governance model with the Faculty Senate.
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record, I am going to ask Professor Lobatin, so sorry that I did not write down your name correctly, but if you could please answer that, that'd be wonderful. I'm so embarrassed.
Sorry, that's okay. I'm sorry, just want to make sure that I got the question right. So, so the question is about how the collective bargaining might affect shared governance through Senate.
If you could please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Rotua Lumbang Tobing.
And this is Assemblymember
yeah.
Anderson. That is correct. That is the correct question that you're answering.
Okay, so in short, and I can elaborate if you want, but in short, collective bargaining will strengthen shared governance because it allows this shared governance to be included in the collective bargaining agreement and to be delineated in the collective bargaining agreement. And also it will actually include provisions about how the function and the role of faculty or university senate in upholding the shared governance. So actually, it will support the role of senate.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Goland.
Thank you, Chair. So this brings me back to the days when I was a graduate research assistant. And I see, like, and in speaking and hearing some of your stories, the power imbalance is off. But I guess, and I don't know, maybe this is a question or just a comment and something we can think about, is that I think I'm uncomfortable with collective bargaining in terms of salary because I got a reduced tuition, and I believe you guys do as well, because you are kind of doing some sweat equity, so to speak. But I am concerned about the conditions, and if there's some way that we could just include the working conditions in the collective bargaining and not necessarily like the monetary aspect of it. Because I had GA, I was a graduate research assistant, and I had a job, and I was going to classes. Like, it's sort of part of the journey, you know? So maybe that's something that you guys would be interested in discussing.
Yes, Clay Renshaw for the record. So I appreciate, your thoughts. Absolutely. Some of our programs actually don't allow us to work outside of our work as a GA or TA. But also, even if we could, many of us just don't have the time to do that. Like, if we actually want to get our degree done in the allotted amount of time required, especially if we're doing laboratory work, which takes many years, then it just wouldn't be possible to, we're already working 40 to 60 hours a week. So that just wouldn't be possible as far as that goes. And we would like for GAs to be able to democratically decide on what's important for them to bargain over, and sometimes that does include salary, since we definitely don't get paid enough to keep up with the cost of living currently.
And this is Assemblymember Anderson. I'm going to add to that a little bit. I appreciate what you're saying as well. I remember those time frames as well. But when you do the salary negotiations, there can be a consideration of how many hours you're putting in as part of those negotiations, and how that will then be able to add to your pay for classes and other items. And so, although looking at the schedule from how the salary has been done in the past with it, for the faculty, there's different academic faculty that shall be related to academic rank. And so that can be something that is actually negotiated between the two parties of, well, if you're working this many hours as a grad assistant, then you get both this pay as well as this much credit towards your degree. And so that can be something that is actually part of the bargaining process. And this would allow the grad students and management to make that decision as to how to do so in the best way possible, as opposed through just legislative language.
I'm curious, you said a lot of the research assistants positions say that you're not allowed to work a job, like that's actually worked into it. I mean, I guess what if you could collectively bargain that out of the policy, right? And I appreciate it. 40 to 60 hours a week is hard. But, somebody whose husband and myself, we have two businesses, and I'm also here, like an 80-hour week is pretty normal in our household. So I know it sucks, but sometimes you just kind of have to grin and bear it. It builds character.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Sorry, the question was in terms of like, that would be something like I'm curious if it's part of the policy that they can't work, like that is as part of the position, and then if that could be something you could collectively bargain.
Evelyn Aram for the record. There are a few things that we need to think about. One is I myself am an international scholar. With that, more than just the policies, which the policy does not allow us to work more than 20 hours, which is another issue that we are facing, that many of us do work more than that, and we are not paid for that. But more also, when it comes to the government, as in the federal government, does not allow international students to, one, work more than 20 hours, two, to work outside campus. So those are also constraints that we have, not just on the policy, but also in the federal law. And it makes it very difficult to not necessarily address them at all, just in regards to being able to survive overall. So I understand the building character, and as someone that came from a different country, and I've been here through all of those, yes, character has been built, but it's more than just that. It's also being able to go to school and not just have to think about survival and the basic needs, really. So it would be about being able to collaborate and find the best solution to address those issues, and just do it as in the best manner that we can find.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Karras.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to the committee and all of you new graduate student members of unions. Very wonderful to see. My concern, and I'm just going to make this comment first, because before I was a union electrician for 27 years, I was also in research academia for 15 years. And one of the biggest issues, actually I'm going to say two biggest issues I saw the graduate students that I worked beside facing was a lack of income and tyrannical professors, because you don't always get a nice one. More times than not, you don't, okay? That being said, to me, collective bargaining is the perfect solution. When I first heard about this, I was like, yes, that's exactly what all of you need, because it is not easy to be a graduate student. I'm glad that the other assembly member was even able to have enough hours in the day to work another job, because in my experience, our grad students started at 6 in the morning and were in the lab till midnight or 1, because you not only have the classes you have to teach, you also have your own research to be conducting, and you have the grading and the student support hours and so many other things that we literally had spouses come into the lab just to have an hour of time while they watched their spouses do experimentation. It's a grueling time. You guys work extremely hard. So to my question, I'm going to try to find one in there. I was really concerned, and tell me if I've gotten this wrong. You're telling me that currently the Board of Regents makes the handbook and they have the final say, and you're not allowed to debate what's in the handbook, which is why you need collective bargaining? Let me know if I got that right.
Assemblymember Anderson, yes.
Quickly?
Very quickly. And so thus, you had to organize the way you did, or you will never get fairly treated for all the things that you do. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, was that the question?
Was that a question? That is correct. Beg your pardon. There was a question there. So it astounds me that the Board of Regents has had all this time to just tell you the way things were going to be. How did you come about being able to organize? Were you approached by the UAW, or did you approach any union that would take all of you in?
Assemblymember Anderson, if this is okay for the record, I'm actually going to phone a friend and have somebody from the UAW come up and answer that, if possible. Never mind, you're on.
Clay Renshaw, for the record. So last year, about a year ago, so I guess back in 2020, grad students had already been talking about unionizing for a long time, didn't really know how to go about it well, so it wasn't as successful back then. But last year, some of our GAs went to a conference with UAW, who represents over 125,000 higher education workers already and have been very effective at forming GA unions. And after that, starting in the summer, we kicked off our campaign here in Nevada. In October, late September, October, we started our card signing campaign. In a matter of 7 weeks, we got a supermajority of the graduate assistants across Nevada, over 1,500 signed union authorization cards to form our union. In November, we approached the university to ask for recognition of our union and got silence for a couple of months. And we held press conferences on the campus. We have a majority of legislators in support of our unionization and have urged NSHE and the administration to recognize our union. And we are also urging them to support our bill here today so that we can just enshrine rights into law and bargain with NSHE.
And Assemblymember Anderson, if I may add to that as well, I had the chance to work with NFA on this bill last session, which was brought forward as well. And during the process of the campaign that was just discussed, we started talking about possibly adding some more other language in to make sure that it was stronger, because NFA has been in existence since 1983. And so this way it seemed to be a natural connection and partnership.
Thank you, and thank you for your indulgence, Madam Chair.
Okay, we will move on to Assemblymember DeLong.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. This is really a follow-up on my last question. Now that you have confirmed that the professors would be included in this, and so if the professors at UNLV or DRI or UNR decided to collectively bargain and establish a union and start collective bargaining with NSHE, would NSHE be able to include in that collective bargaining whether or not a professor either gets or retains tenure?
Mr. Puccinelli, would you please answer that possibly?
I mean, I can try. I mean, I usually, we at AFT and a lot of our higher
Don't
ed
forget to say your name, please.
Sorry, Michael Puccinelli with the AFT. We tend to think of, and I think AAUP agrees, as sort of tenure and collective bargaining as complementary. And so to the degree that, tenure is related to a working condition, then it could be included in a collective bargaining agreement. But we generally see, collective bargaining agreements cover more, collective rights. So, yes, if that's the avenue that teachers and administrators want to enshrine the tenure process into, that's fine. But if there's another process, that's fine as well. But, the collective bargaining agreement usually focuses on broader rights that all of faculty enjoy and want to exercise.
Sorry, I'm not sure they answered my question, but thank you.
Thank you. And our last question is from Vice Chair Nguyen.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, my colleague, for this awesome presentation. I think before my question is I want to put a plug. I think all of us need financial literacy in our life. No hint to my other bill, but anyway. The challenge that I see is that there is already, with partnership with UAW, the graduate assistant have already taken the steps, right, to be able to do that with NSHE. So are you telling me that you are not able to do this without this bill? Like, you need this bill so that you are able to make them come to the table? Because I understood that you did all the process of having the election, having the vote counted, everything, but now you need the bill. So can you kind of reiterate the gap in that for us? Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. This is Clay Renshaw for the record. So we did meet with NSHE admin and some of the Board of Regents and university admin just last Friday, and the meeting was pretty disappointing. But to answer your question, they said that there is no current policy in order to recognize our union, and the bill would have to be passed for that to happen.
If I may add, Evelyn Ida for the record, we believe that the bill also creates a stable solution for recognition and also the bargaining process between GAs and NSHE, and enshrining that into law would be just the best course of action in this case. So that both ways, NSHE and GAs can appeal for the labor board in case of any disputes that may arise. And we have invited, as he mentioned, we have invited NSHE to join us in support of this bill and to start collaborating towards solving issues.
Quick follow-up, Chair. So I just want to be clear, because I know some of my colleagues has said the word students before, and that's not about this. You're actually not coming to NSHE as students. You're coming to NSHE as employee who happens to be student, but you are employee and wanting to come in and collectively bargain as employee, not as student.
Evelyn, for the record, yes, that is correct. We are graduate assistants. We are students as well, but we are talking here about workplace issues and improving workplace environment. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, and thank you all for the presentation. We will now move on to testimony. Again,
Could we possibly start in Vegas?
yes. Again, testimony can be provided in person in Carson City, via video conference in Las Vegas, or over the phone. Further instructions for providing testimony on a bill can be found on the agenda. We will be maintaining a 20-minute time limit for periods of support, opposition, and neutral testimony, with each speaker having no more than 2 minutes. First, we will begin with testimony in support of AB 191. We will start in Las Vegas. We will go for 7 minutes in Las Vegas, come back to Carson City for 7 minutes, AVH, and then go through again as time allows. So if you are ready in Las Vegas, please begin.
Good morning, Chair Considine, members of the committee. My name is Patricia Orellana. That's PATRICIAORELLANA. I've been a graduate assistant at UNLV since 2022, and I'm part of the Nevada Graduate Student Workers, UAW. I'm here to highlight the urgent need to pass AB 191 to address systemic problems facing graduate assistants working at NSHE. During my time as a graduate assistant, I had a baby that was born via C-section. I was forced to return to work just 6 weeks after having major surgery before I was fully recovered, because UNLV only offers 6 weeks of paid maternity leave for its graduate assistants. My family depended on my income, so I had no choice but to return to work. I've since learned that GAs at UNR have no guaranteed maternity leave at all, and I struggle to understand why that inequity exists. My work environment became increasingly difficult after I returned to work, and a new supervisor changed my schedule, took away my cubicle, and changed nearly all of my work duties. So I was no longer doing the job I was hired to do. She treated my coworkers and I with continual disrespect, leading me to feel pressured to quit. I filed a grievance with the graduate college and a complaint with the Title IX office, but the Title IX office dismissed my complaint, and I had to go a month without pay before finding a new job. And she has told GAs that the issues we face can be solved if we only learned how to access the resources available to us. But this is simply not the case. Title IX is an important resource, but it did not prevent me from being stripped of my job duties without just cause after returning to work as a new mom. And most GAs do not trust a process entirely controlled by the administration will lead to a fair outcome. I'm a woman of faith. I have also put my beliefs into action by being involved in the formation of our GA union. And today I pray that the voices of a supermajority of GAs will be heard and respected. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Ted Johnson, for the record, TEDJOHNSON, and I'm a graduate assistant at UNLV and part of our union, Nevada Graduate Student Workers, UAW. I'm here supporting AB 191. Over the past year, I have spoken to hundreds of graduate assistants about their experiences working at UNLV and their reasons for wanting to form a union and secure a collective bargaining agreement. Today, I want to share a brief story on behalf of one of those people who could not be here. Marzia Taheri, a graduate assistant working at UNLV, was coerced to work 6 to 7 days a week in a lab with hazardous conditions. When she tried to remove herself from exposure to harmful chemicals and dust by working on data analysis outside of the lab, her supervisor threatened to end her job. He berated her and her coworkers for not working fast enough despite the long hours they were putting into the job. 8 months of working under extreme stress caused her to break out in a rash on her neck and body. This rash only went away once she was finally able to secure a new job at a different department, away from her former supervisor. For 8 months, Marzia was afraid to report her situation to Title IX or ombuds because she was terrified of losing her only source of income and having her career irreparably damaged. She had not heard positive outcomes from others who sought remedies to abuse through university-controlled processes. Marzia is just one of the many people I spoke with who suffered physical, emotional, and professional consequences of not having a trustworthy, independent process for addressing workplace issues, such as those that exist for unionized graduate assistants at public universities in our neighboring states. This is just one of the reasons that I joined with over 1,500 colleagues to form a union and address the imbalance of power at the root cause of workplace bullying and harassment. I urge you to pass AB 191 to ensure that NSHE respects its employees' choice to unionize and create a better university. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Raina Benefiel, REINA BENEFIEL, and I'm a PhD candidate and graduate teaching assistant at UNLV and a member of NGSW UAW. I'm here to voice my strong support for AB 191. I became a graduate assistant because I'm driven by the passion for research and contributing to the education of Nevada's next generation of scientists. And because I know that our teaching conditions are our students' learning conditions, I'm passionate about forming a union to make improvements for everyone. However, I have personally witnessed 3 incredibly gifted and passionate grad workers have to leave my program as a direct result of our working conditions. A major contributor to this has been bullying by senior scientists. Those who felt forced out, as well as others who continue to experience harassment, have told me that they feel they cannot report due to ineffectual existing systems and fear of retaliation. The power imbalance between us as workers and the university puts us in an extremely vulnerable position. But GAs at institutions who have formed unions have helped reduce the instances of workplace abuse by creating independent processes for seeking resolution that people can trust, which is why we made a democratic choice to form a union. Additionally, many of us struggle to meet our basic needs. We are contracted for 20 hours a week, but in my department, it is the general expectation that you spend about 50 hours a week on your lab work alone. This does not include teaching responsibilities, which are additional hours of work. Myself and my lab mates regularly work 6 days a week on average. Our compensation and our treatment as employees do not reflect the time and effort we dedicate to our university every single day. It's crucial that we have a voice when it comes to our working conditions. Thank you for your time.
Hello, Stacy Walters, STACI, Walters, WALTERS, in support of AB 191. I serve as faculty at the College of Southern Nevada and as the NFA State Bargaining Chair, where I've negotiated 3 contracts. I also serve on the Faculty Senate at CSN for 10 years. Faculty senates advise institutional presidents, but collective bargaining ensures real accountability and governance. The distinction is critical. Faculty believe in fiscal responsibility and accountability over government spending. As stakeholders in higher ed, we need a seat at the table to scrutinize spending, ensure funds serve students, and prevent unnecessary executive initiatives that divert resources. Through collective bargaining, faculty have exposed financial inefficiencies and pushed for transparency. The process strengthens shared governance, requiring faculty input in decision-making and holding administrators accountable through third-party arbitration. NSHE has refused to update its policies, creating inconsistencies that allow institutions to reinterpret bargaining agreements, undermining equity across the system. AB 191 corrects this by granting employees access to the Employee Management Relations Board, third party that can resolve contract disputes and personnel issues when faculty and admin cannot reach agreement. This means disputes are resolved fairly without the need for costly litigation. At CSN, ongoing litigation could have been avoided had such a mechanism been in place. NSHE's a bureaucracy. Every layer has waste. The bill establishes clear, uniform standards that protect employees while ensuring taxpayer dollars are spent wisely. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and fellow board members. My name is Pete Martini, M-A-R-T-I-N-I. I am an assistant professor of psychology at Nevada State University, where I also serve as the NFA president of that chapter. I want to speak in support of AB 191 today, and I want to say that you've heard a lot of comments around things that would benefit from collective bargaining. At my campus, the number one issue and the number one driver in our grassroots effort for collective bargaining is campus safety and student conduct. It's not salary. And regardless of the reasons we come to the table, one of the things that I want to point out to you is that faculty and graduate students want to bargain in good faith. And without AB 191, we're bargaining across the table from NSHE while they call balls and strikes. So if we're in the room and we're trying to create a safe working environment, made all the more clear by the events at UNLV 2 Decembers ago, and we can't get NSHE to listen to us, there is no recourse in NSHE code. They're the ones calling balls and strikes. At some point in time, the legislature needs to step up, help faculty, help graduate students. We're bargaining here, we're negotiating here for more than just pay. We're bargaining for safety, we're bargaining for security, and there needs to be a neutral party that helps NSHE and its workers come to a common agreement. AB 191 does that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Las Vegas. That's been 8 minutes. We will go to Carson City for 7 minutes and then the phone lines. So in Carson City, please go ahead.
Amy Payson, AMY-PASON, and I'm here representing the Nevada Faculty Alliance. I'm in support of AB 91 because faculty should have the same rights as other public sector employees and an option to collectively bargain if they so choose. I'm a person that has been embedded in our shared governance systems. I was the faculty senate chair at UNR. I served as the chair of chairs for the NSHE system. I've worked with a variety of different administrators, 3 chancellors, 2 sets of presidents and provosts, a number of deans, a number of vice provosts, and majority of my working relationships with them have been positive. But I know that there's a limit to what our shared governance can do. We're advisory. We make recommendations. I currently serve as the chair of the Graduate Council, yet another shared governance body at our institution, and we've been trying to address some of these issues with graduate students. So what we are doing with the graduate dean is to create a guideline of what supervisors of graduate students should do, like let them have a day off if the university is closed, like they should have written contracts so that there's clear work expectations. But in our role, it's advisory only. We can recommend these, we can encourage faculty to follow it, but we cannot require them to follow these best practices. A collective bargaining agreement can address these issues, can have clarity that if somebody has a grant that would allow them to pay graduate students more, they can actually do that instead of just going with the bare minimum. We need collective bargaining rights because there's some things our shared governance process cannot do. Thank you.
Doug Unger, DOUG, UNGER, UNLV Acting President, Nevada Faculty Alliance. AB 191 promises stability for our campus communities. Speaking as a professor with 14 years in various roles in faculty governance, including as chair of the Council of Faculty Senate Chairs for NSHE, I am convinced collective bargaining can democratize a managerial system run by ever-shifting rosters of regents, chancellors, presidents, provosts, deans, with their ever-changing leadership plans and styles. Look at UNLV. 7 presidents in 17 years doesn't feel very stable. Collectively bargained contracts provide a more predictable structure for how higher education operates. Skeptics keep pointing out that NSHE already has collective bargaining, but Title IV, Chapter 4 of the Board of Regents Handbook is a policy, not a code or law. NSHE sets the terms. NSHE has resisted updating this antique policy for years. Even now is using its obsolete wording to refuse to recognize the labor rights of graduate assistants. Most people think collective bargaining primarily addresses salaries and benefits. AB 191 will be even more useful to achieve just and balanced mediations of personnel issues, a needed correction to flawed grievance processes which are inadequate for graduate assistants and in which presidents have thumbs up, thumbs down power, no matter the verdict of a grievance committee for faculty. Mediation and arbitration can save our colleges and universities from costly litigation. AB 191 offers a sustainable vision for higher education, more needed now than ever, to support our shared mission to educate students and help them to succeed. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Mia Swain, M-I-A-S-W-A-I-N. I'm a 6-year graduate assistant in the biochemistry department at UNR. I'm here speaking in support of AB 191 as part of NGSW UAW. As a GA, research progress is largely at the discretion of your supervisor, creating an inherent power imbalance that is easily exploited. Unfortunately, misuse of this power often goes unchecked by the university. In my 4th year, I was forced to switch labs due to my supervisor's unfair treatment. He set unattainable work expectations, consistently shifting the goalposts so that no matter how hard I worked, I could never meet his standards. He regularly belittled me and other GAs, reaching to the point of yelling on multiple occasions. He also used public humiliation as a point of control, threatening to fire workers in front of their peers. When I sought guidance from my department, my supervisor reprimanded me, leaving me feeling isolated and trapped without clear institutional recourse. Ultimately, I was fired without recourse, and switching labs meant forfeiting years of research progress and significantly delaying my career. The relentless stress also led to chronic health issues that I'm still receiving ongoing treatment for. I'm not alone. My supervisor unjustly fired other workers as well. Many in the department are aware of his problematic treatment, yet the university has not taken meaningful action to address the issue. That is why I've joined my colleagues to form a union to establish an enforceable process for addressing harassment, discrimination, and bullying. My experience reflects a broader pattern affecting many GAs. I urge the committee to support AB 191 so that the NG administration will negotiate with graduate workers to resolve these critical issues. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Keely Rodriguez, Keelyrodriguez, and I'm a graduate assistant at UNR here in support of AB 191 as part of NGSW UAW. I grew up learning the value of hard work and character building, and I knew that pursuing a PhD would be hard, but it's also an honor to teach the students at UNR and perform the groundbreaking research that fuels our R1 institution. But unfortunately, this journey of mine ended up being more difficult than I had expected. This is because while working at UNR, I've had to switch research labs twice due to unprofessional, manipulative, and sometimes dangerous working environments created by my supervisors. For example, in one lab, my supervisor fired me while I was suffering a major health issue. This supervisor is also a well-known bully and is known to profanely lash out at GAs and belittle people in their lab. In another lab, my supervisor was more than once intoxicated while driving and working with me and put my coworkers and I in dangerous situations. I've been told by a supervisor that taking time off to see my family was unheard of, and I've witnessed so many colleagues be held captive after being denied graduation even though they've completed all of the agreed upon requirements to do so. Myself and other GAs have approached the administration and to discuss these experiences, but they expressed sympathy with our concerns and ultimately told us that no one has the power to address these issues. This is why I formed a union with my colleagues so we can negotiate for an independent grievance process that will support our rights, safety, and security. Our work as GAs is our very livelihood and a necessary step to becoming the academics, educators, and scientists of tomorrow. Therefore, I humbly and respectfully request that this committee support AB 191 and give us graduate workers agency over our path forward. And I was also asked to mention that we did try to reach out to the UNR president, and we have not been able to get a meeting with them. Thank you.
Thank you, and that is the time for Las Vegas right now. We're going to head to the phones. When we come back, we'll go to Las Vegas and Carson City with time allowing, if you have testimony, please submit your testimony to the committee within 24 hours of the committee hearing. And also feel free to say ditto if you want to get your name on the record and something that you would like to say has already been said. So AVH, if we can go to the phone lines for those in testimony in support for AB 191.
If you'd like to testify in support of AB 191, please press *9 or raise hand in your Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Caller, you may press *9 to take yourself
Have I
off
officially
mute.
unmuted? Did I do it?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Amy Cavanaugh, AMYCAVANAUGH. I am a professor of biology at TMCC and secretary of the TMCC chapter of the Nevada Faculty Alliance. I wish to express support for AB 191. While NSHE has allowed faculty collective bargaining since 1990, ensuring employee rights has not been an NSHE policy priority. We need state statute to give the foundation of what can and should be expected, but without collective bargaining rights in state law, the bargaining process is a half measure in which the management side controls the rules. As an example, you've already heard several times, NFA has been trying to get the Board of Regents to discuss revisions to the NSHE policies that govern collective bargaining. However, the Board of Regents refuses to engage in this discussion and insists that Faculty Senate have to request this agenda item. I have been a Faculty Senate chair. You have heard about what Faculty Senates control. They don't have anything to do with collective bargaining. They are not in charge of collective bargaining. It doesn't make any sense for them to be the agencies to request changes to the policies that govern collective bargaining, which is why they haven't done so. Without state statute, there's no way to force management to engage with our duly elected unions, and without fair rules governing the collective bargaining process, we cannot ensure fair working conditions and compensation for our faculty. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Perez, SARAPEREZ. I am a teaching assistant for 2 master's level courses and also a research assistant in the School of Public Health at UNR. I am very sick today, so I wasn't able to come in person, but I want to lift up what my peers have already said, and I also don't get a sick day, so don't worry, I'll keep working. But thank you, and ditto.
Hello, my name is Krista Diamond. That's Krista Diamond, like the gemstone. I'm a PhD candidate in the English department, and in the interest of time, I just want to say a strong ditto, if you can say a strong ditto to everything that the other graduate student workers have said today. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Considine and Vice Chair Wynn. My name for the record is Terry Laird, TerriLaird. I'm the Executive Director of RPEN, the Retired Public Employees of Nevada. We've been around for almost 50 years, and we have always supported the pension and benefits protection through those years. And I would just like to say ditto to all the remarks made today and urge this committee to support Assembly Bill 191. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joshua Williams. That's JOSHUAWILLIAMS. I am an associate professor of physics. And I would like to support AB 191. And I would also like to say the graduate students do not receive, in my opinion, a living wage. And so I will just say ditto to everything they've said. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Molly Apple, APPEL. I'm an assistant professor at Nevada State University, and we need your support of AB 191 to protect our ability to choose to collectively bargain at our institutions. At Nevada State, as my colleague Dr. Martini mentioned, we are dedicated to our students and to the craft of teaching. And we know that faculty working conditions are student learning conditions, and this is why we are seeking collective bargaining to more effectively address both of these aspects of our institution. I served as faculty senate chair last year, and I can assure that collective bargaining will enhance shared governance because it enshrines our voice and our rights beyond the whims of any particular administrators or regents. We don't know how long our upper administrative leadership will be here. And many of us have been at our institution, dedicated again to our students and our teaching for longer than our upper administrators or our serving members of the Board of Regents. Thank you very much for listening today.
If you have recently joined and would like to testify in support of AB 191, please press star 9 or raise hand in your Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. There are no other callers at this time.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for the dittos. We are close to time. I would like to extend the time for about 5 more minutes if we could, because people in Las Vegas and here have shown up. If we could go down to Las Vegas for about 3 minutes, if you want to put your name on the record and say ditto, and then we'll come back and do the same in Las Vegas. So please go ahead. I'm sorry, come back and do the same thing in Carson City. Please go ahead, Las Vegas.
Good morning, Chair Considine, Vice Chair Nguyen, and committee members. My name is Pierre Lescure, Pierrelescure. I am an international and non-traditional graduate student and graduate assistant at UNLV and part of Nevada Graduate Student Workers, UAW. I am here to voice my support for AB 191. I believe a union is a powerful tool to address the matters the graduate student community needs support for. Everyone faces hardships and insecurities. For example, international graduate assistants like myself face the constant fear of our contract not being renewed, which could lead to financial hardship and force us to leave the country within 3 months once the semester ends. Many of our non-traditional graduate assistants are not just students. They have to feed their children and keep a roof over their heads. This financial stress can be overwhelming, especially when you can't plan for your future because you don't know if your employment will be continued the following term. Through collective bargaining, GAs and NG could come up with creative, cost-effective solutions together so that talented researchers from all backgrounds can be recruited and retained. Because we are stronger together, a collective bargaining process would give graduate assistants the ability to help create the best conditions for our students to learn and researchers to succeed. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning, committee members and staff. My name is Aaron Rook, E-R-I-N-R-O-O-K. I use he, him pronouns and live in Assembly District 3. I'm a graduate research assistant in the School of Public Health at UNLV, where I support research related to LGBTQIA aging and brain health, and a member of the union. I'll skip ahead a bit for time. I do want to highlight that while I've been fortunate to have a supportive faculty supervisor, a healthy workplace should not be a matter of chance. I think it's also important to note that because the terms of our employment are not up to faculty, but rather up to NSHE, we don't really have opportunities to engage in meaningful negotiations. These decisions have collective impact and can therefore only be meaningfully addressed through collective bargaining. One of these scenarios that is beyond the control of our faculty, no matter how wonderful they might be, currently, all 5 of the GAs on my team are preparing for layoffs. That's because the positions are funded by federal grants, not the state, and the current administration has decided not to honor its commitment to fund health research if it includes transgender people. When GAs are hired, we don't know how our positions are funded. As a result, some GAs are unknowingly vulnerable to job loss in ways that others are not. We have no protections against the potentially illegal revocation of the active grants that fund our roles. We don't even know if other GAs are facing this challenge. If we had the ability to have our union efforts recognized, we could better identify and advocate for the protections we need. These should not be controversial asks. Union representation simply provides workers with a mechanism to advocate for the needs of the collective. I urge you to support AB 191 so graduate student workers can have their voices heard in the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you, and that will be the time for support in Las Vegas. Please submit your testimony to the committee within 24 hours. We will now move for a few minutes to the folks on the table here in Carson City. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, my name is Susie Martinez, and I am the Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Nevada State AFL-CIO, and we are in full support of Assembly Bill 191. I would like to thank the Nevada Faculty Alliance and UAW for all of their amazing hard work, and to all the GA students here, I applaud you for standing in solidarity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jim New, NEW, President of the Nevada Faculty Alliance. I mentioned I've been negotiating since 1992 under the limitations of the Board of Regents Handbook at TMCC. Even under those archaic policies, each negotiation has clarified and improved processes to the benefit of both faculty and administration. This bill will still allow local negotiations on specific issues, but it will also level the playing field for all institutions where faculty choose to form a bargaining unit. Because faculty working conditions are student learning conditions, AB 191 will help us build a dynamic workforce that is central to nearly all the state's strategic goals. I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members. Tom Hinsey, commenting on behalf of the UAW. My name is HINTZE for the record. Representing over 1 million active and retired workers, and as some grad assistants have said, over 125,000 workers in higher education. This bill has our full support of our international union. Thank you.
Hello, Chair and committee members. My name is Helen Kidane, Kidane. I'm a first-year PhD student and graduate assistant at UNR. I'm here in support of AB 191. I would quickly like to say my connection to UNR runs deep. I've earned my bachelor's and master's degree at UNR. And from a first-gen family, my 3 younger sisters and I also go to UNR or have graduated from UNR. And we're proud to do so because we are from Nevada. I'd like to say that as an older sister, I've always felt a deep responsibility to set an example for my younger siblings. Pursuing graduate education at UNR isn't just about my own success, it's about paving the way for other students. And it's also about Nevada's future. Many of us want to contribute to our communities, but without fair treatment, graduate assistants who are integral to the university's quality and rigor will leave for better opportunities elsewhere. And investing in graduate workers means investing in long-term success for UNR, its research, and its state as a whole. So I urge you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, and that is our time for support. What I would like to do for those folks in Las Vegas and for those folks in Carson City, if you are here in support, will you please stand? Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming in up to Carson City and in Las Vegas, but we will now need to move to opposition. If anyone here in Carson City is here, would like to testify in opposition to AB 191, please approach the table.
Good morning, Chair Constantine and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Nick Schneider, Director of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. First, want to just thank the bill sponsor for meeting with the Chamber regarding our concerns with the provisions of AB 191, and always appreciate our willingness to discuss these issues. However, the Chamber is opposed to the premise of the bill, as it would further expand the collective bargaining provision that was adopted by the state legislature in 2019 and the impact that it could have on state operations, including budgetary components. We have concerns about the expansion of definitions found in sections 4 and 5 of the bill and components found beginning in section 12 as it relates to the Nevada system of higher education and managerial employees, along with other related sections throughout the bill that could impact and would have an impact on the academic experience at public universities and colleges in our state. A great example is that we have concerns about section 63 regarding graduate assistants being included in the collective bargaining process as well. There's also the argument that this could potentially harm the academic relationship between students and faculty, while also causing disruption of the educational process found within an institution of higher education. There are concerns about a desire to bargain over curriculum, teaching assignments, and other academic matters that could be left to administrators and faculty and not be placed in collective bargaining agreements. At the federal level, there's also been a lot of back and forth and course direction changes by the National Labor Relations Board regarding the topic over the last 20 years if graduate students are primarily students or university employees. And for these reasons, the Vegas Chamber is in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? Seeing no one approach, is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition to AB 191? Seeing no one approach, AVH, is there anyone on the phone lines in opposition of AB 191?
If you'd like to testify in opposition to AB 191, please press star 9 or raise your hand in your Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Caller with the phone line ending in 093, please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair and members of Legislative Committee on Government Affairs. My name is Valerie Conner, C-O-N-N-E-R. I am the Faculty Senate Chair of College of Southern Nevada and the Nevada System of Higher Education Faculty Senate Council of Chairs. Faculty Senate is the only recommended body for faculty. We speak for roughly about 10,000 plus faculty throughout the entire state. Faculty Senate is the only official representation for Faculty Senate. Faculty Senate is a recognizing body between faculty administration, the Nevada System of Higher Ed, and the Board of Regents. Faculty Senate provides mechanism for the entire faculty and staff to participate in the decision-making process for the colleges and universities. Opposition, I am in opposition of AB 191, which promotes collective bargaining, is essential to preserving shared governance and faculty representation through existing structures like the Faculty Senate. The NFA must work collaboratively with Faculty Senate chairs to ensure that faculty voices are heard without the constraints and adversarial nature of collective bargaining agreements. Collective bargaining should undermine the flexibility needed for meaningful faculty administration dialogues and decision-making, replacing collective collaboration with rigorous constraints that may not reflect the diverse needs of faculty members. Additionally, granting collective bargaining power to an entire entity, marginalizing non-union faculty and limiting broader faculty participation in government. Instead, in adopting collective bargaining, faculty advocacy should focus on strengthening cooperation, engaging with administration to address employment concerns while maintaining institutional integrity and academic freedom. Thank you for your time this morning.
Chair, the public line is open and working. There are no more callers at this time.
Thank you. We will now move on to neutral testimony. Is there anyone here in Carson City who wishes to testify in neutral?
Good morning, Chair Constantine, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Alejandro Rodriguez, Director of Government Relations with the Nevada System of Higher Education. On behalf of Interim Chancellor Patty Charlton, I'll be testifying neutral to AB 191 until the Board of Regents takes a position at its board meeting this week. I'd like to thank Assemblymember Anderson for including NSHE in conversations regarding AB 191. NSHE has provided for collective bargaining for professional employees for decades. Currently, NSHE has 3 collective bargaining agreements in place that cover approximately 930 professional employees. Under the proposed terms of AB 191, approximately 22,000 professional employees would have access to collective bargaining. With regards to graduate assistants, Interim Chancellor Patty Charlton, along with additional NSHE and institution leadership, recently met with representatives to seek ways to address their concerns, and we remain fully committed to finding solutions sooner than the legislative process would allow. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to offer our perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? Seeing no one, is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in neutral on AB 191? Seeing no one, AVH, is there anyone on the line willing to testify in neutral?
If you'd like to testify in neutral for AB 191, please press star 9 or raise hand in your Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. There are no more callers at this time.
Thank you. I would like to bring the sponsor forward for final remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Nathan Anderson for the record. I just again want to thank the committee for not only the presentation and consideration of this bill, but also listening to our faculty members and our grad students. The individuals who, I was not at all surprised by the 2 individuals who spoke up that they were against it, because I have met with both. I think as we continue to go into this world of knowledge, no matter what area that you make the decision to study, there's always going to be a need for academic freedom. There's always going to be a need to work in an environment where you feel safe, where you feel you can take academic risks, and where you also feel that you are protected. Some of the stories that were told clearly show that is not the case. We've attempted to go the other way through the policies, and that's not working. So now it's time for us to come in as a legislature and help the rights of the workers. I ask for your support, and again, thank you for this time.
Thank you. One addition, I was told that standing up between Las Vegas and Nevada was about 100 people. Just wanted to put that out there. Right now, I will now close the hearing on AB 191, and we will move to the final piece on our agenda is public comment. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person or telephonically and may submit public comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. Instructions for providing public comment can be found on the agenda. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 888-475-4499. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 863-7369-1255, and then press pound when prompted for a participant ID. Each person will have 2 minutes to provide testimony. You may also submit written public comment within 24 hours after the hearing. Please remember that public comment is for comments not dealing with any bills that were heard today. Also, please remember to clearly state your name and spell your name for the record. Is there any public comment here in Carson City? Seeing no one approach, is there any public comment in Las Vegas? Seeing no one approach, AVH, is there anyone on the phone for public comment?
If you'd like to provide public comment, please press star 9 or raise hand in your Zoom window to take your place in the queue. The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, March 5th at 8 a.m. in room 4100. This concludes our meeting today. Our meeting is adjourned.